Right, so I'm here with Andy today from Sporting Khalsa Ladies. Firstly, Andy, thank you for taking time out of what I'm sure is a very busy schedule for being able to speak to me today. Firstly, just tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so currently manager of Sporting Khalsa Women and CEO of a company called Sports Plus Scheme, which works in schools delivering PE and sport across well, the Midlands and the UK. So yeah.
What really got you into football first and then coaching or managing afterwards then?
I think in terms of girls and women's football, that was very much to do with a guy called Ian Badger, who was one of my tutors at Sutton College, as it was known then. And he was currently involved coaching the under-10s girls at Aston Villa Girls. And then it kind of went from there. So my journey was very much getting involved with the under-10s at Villa, then the under-12s, then the under-14s, and seeing the introduction of the Centre of Excellence for Girls and how that evolved, and had some involvement in that in terms of at Villa, and then ended up running the reserve team and the first team at Aston Villa, and then got involved in coaching various regional sides, and obviously been involved with Khalsa now for a good few years, probably about 4 years.
What would you say led to yourself managing girls and ladies football?
I think I realised quite early that I could earn more money coaching than I could playing, so I think that was the major one. Obviously got my badges quite young, so I was on that kind of coaching journey quite young, and then you kind of go from coaching into management quite seamlessly, really, because you get involved in coaching teams. So I think that the journey really was that at that point I wanted to be a full-time football coach, and kind of the alignment of being involved at Villa and running my own business was kind of trying to tick that box, really. And how Sports Plus has evolved over that time has been interesting, and how it's scaled up, etc. And my journey in and out of girls and women's football, because I probably came out of women's football because at that particular point there wasn't any full-time jobs or any kind of paid opportunities within girls and women's football. If it was a very kind of conservative level. So yeah, I wanted to coach, I wanted to manage, and I wanted to develop, girls and women's football.
Going into a new year now, with it being 2024, what would you say are the aspirations for yourself and for your team at Sporting Khalsa?
I think as a team we want to improve on last season. So, we play at a very high level at Tier 4 in the FA National Women's League. So last season finished third in the league, and got to the County Cup final, and unfortunately lost on penalties to Stoke City Women, who play in the level above, which is Tier 3. So ideally, we want to try and improve on our league position and try and get into the top two. Obviously trying to win the league, and are currently in the semi-final of the Cup, and we've been drawn against Stoke. So we know that will be a very tough opportunity, which comes up in a couple of weeks' time. So I think as a team we want to improve, and individually we want to improve, and as an individual you always want to do better as a manager and as a coach.
As a coach of a ladies' side, what would you say that people support, coming down to support, and people volunteering in sides like your own have on an impact, especially at those of a lower level?
I think volunteers are crucial. I think the infrastructure, certainly at clubs at our level, is not as supported as it needs to. We haven't got the funding that many other teams have got huge, men's teams that are obviously throwing money into the women's side. So yeah, you're very much reliant on goodwill, and in terms of the fan base and how that can grow, and how it has grown from the success of the Euros and the success of how the Super League, fans numbers are going, then yeah, it's crucial. And never mind me as a manager, I think as the girls, the girls that are playing, to get a fan base and consistent numbers of people down at games is crucial. So just giving you a little idea for us this year, our numbers probably last year watching games were probably 30, 40, 50 people. This season, we're getting up on 100, 120 people. And in some of the bigger games we've been getting, some of these have been away, some of these have been, cup finals like what I talked about last season, where you're getting 500, 600 people. And at Northampton away last year. We had, I think there was about 1,100 people. So it's certainly growing, even at Tier 4 level.
So what would you say it's like, especially at the lower levels, people having to have either one or two sources of income with a day-to-day job? How would you say it is having that job as well as having the knowledge that you have to manage or coach a team at the end of the week on a Sunday?
I think as a young coach or as a manager, you're in a position where your pursuit really is that you enjoy probably coaching and managing, but you're trying to build a career and a pathway really to become full-time. In my position, having been in women's football for kind of 25 years and got a developed coaching business, it's a little bit easier because obviously I can manage my time accordingly on the strength of that I've built a reasonably good business that supports me to give me the flexibility really to have the opportunity to give Khalsa more time than perhaps I should. Because at the moment we train on a Wednesday and a Thursday and we've obviously got games on a Sunday, but there's a hell of a lot of work that I'm putting in the background just because unfortunately Khalsa, like many other clubs, haven't got that infrastructure of support of people off the pitch doing things that you need to do in order for you to be successful.
You've mentioned there about time and flexibility. How do you as a person manage the job compared to management mind?
In what respect? What do you mean?
In terms of how are you able to fluctuate your time between, okay, I've got to go and manage, but then, now I'm at work?
I think it's tough. I think it's tough for people that have got completely different jobs. So talking across the board, if you haven't got a job that's got any flexibility and it might not be coaching, then it's very challenging. I think one of the unique things for me is that I live and breathe coaching day in, day out. So I think, that helps. But sometimes helps Khalsa more than it does Sports Plus, because obviously I've got a staff team and I've got an infrastructure and I've got people within the business that are doing certain jobs for us. Whereas at Khalsa, we've got a very small team and sometimes it can come down to kind of Kelly the chairwoman and me as the first team manager. So we've got lots of other people that are doing fantastic jobs for us. I'll just run through them just to give, some of your viewers some of the opportunities that are out there in the future, for people within girls and women's football and football across the board. But we've got a really good physio, Lewis, who's fantastic. We've got Joe, who's our strength and conditioning coach. We've recently had Maka, who's moved on actually, but one of our goalkeeper coaches, and Luke. And then through to our reserve team. So our reserve team is now managed by Craig, but has been managed by Danni and Carl. So, but when you look at it across the board, and we've got a junior section and a girls section, and there's lots of fantastic coaches that are working across that, in the background, unfortunately, the infrastructure of the club and the growth of the club is very much in the hands of the chairwoman and the vice chair, really, with a bit of support, that's kindly given by the men's team.
So what do you think then, following on from that, does non-league or lower league and ladies football need a bit more of?
I think it'd be great if we could get more support, more of a fan base, more of a kind of sponsorship following that we've been working really hard on, and we've got some fantastic player sponsorships this year. There's been some really good local businesses that have got involved. There's been some really good club sponsorships from a number of people that we, so many to mention, but we really appreciate that. So I suppose it's the sponsorship really, it's the fan base increase, it's the exposure really of how fantastic, girls and women's football is and the standard level at Tier 4 and how exciting it is. And, we're trying to aspire to get into Tier 3, which is going to be really tough because you've got some really huge clubs that are in, the league above, just to name a few: Wolves, Newcastle, Burnley, Notts Forest, West Brom, etc., and Stoke, as we've mentioned earlier on. So if Sporting Khalsa women are ever going to, be up there and compete and get in and around them kind of clubs at women's level, then we need to increase the fan base, sponsorship and funding, without a doubt, which will then enable us to put more of an infrastructure and try and get off the pitch to try and catch up with the quality that's on the pitch, because the quality that we've got on the pitch with our links that we've been able to get with Wolves this season, loaning 3 players, West Brom loaning 2 players. You know, Sporting Khalsa women, you know, we're certainly up there and driving it and developing women's and girls football.
And then my final couple of questions, Andy, to yourself is, what does football and your team at Khalsa mean to yourself personally?
I think it means everything, you know, because if you know, I'm very much an all or nothing. So, you know, you've got to put absolutely everything into it. And I know the girls do, you know, and just touching on the girls, really, you know, that this is the first year that we've been able to pay expenses. So it's hopefully now no longer costing the girls money to play football at the level that we're at. So for them, for Kelly, who, you know, formed the club back in 2004 when it was known as Reedswood, I think it's a family. I think it's you know, a club that really wants to develop and get every single girl or woman that's playing within it to play at the highest possible level.
Okay, well, Andy, thank you very much for your time today, and thank you for answering my questions.
No problem.